My fiancé said, "After we're married, you're getting a vasectomy. I'm not ruining my body with your kids." I said, "Interesting." Canceled the wedding while she was at work. She came home to the ring on the counter and a note. "Not ruining my life with your demands." She called me 50 times. I never answered. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. And if you have your own story to share, send it to me. My contact info is in the description below. I'd love to feature it in an upcoming video. Thanks. I never thought I would be the guy writing one of these. You read these stories and think, how did he not see the red flags? How was he so blind? But that's the thing about a really good con artist. They don't show you the red flags until the trap has already snapped shut. I'm 32, a structural engineer. I make good money, I own my home, and I'm debt-free. But more than anything, I've always been clear about what I wanted. My dad passed away when I was 12, and I grew up with a massive hole in my life where a father figure should have been. Being a dad wasn't just a nice-to-have for me. It was the blueprint for my entire life. I wanted the messy breakfasts, the baseball games, the scraped knees, all of it. When I met Sarah, 29F, 3 years ago, I didn't hide this. On our third date, I told her, "Look, I'm dating to marry, and I'm marrying to have a family. If that's not you, let's not waste time." She didn't just agree. She sold me a dream. She actually teared up. She told me being a mother was her ultimate purpose. She talked about how she was tired of the shallow party scene and wanted to build a legacy. For 3 years, she played the role perfectly. When we bought our house last year, she was the one who insisted on the 4-bedroom colonial in the best school district, even though it was at the top of our budget. "This room will be perfect for the nursery," she'd said, tracing her hand along the wall of the spare room. "South-facing windows. The baby will get so much light here." We even had names picked out. Caleb for a boy, Lily for a girl. I was hook, line, and sinker. I proposed 6 months ago, and she said yes before I even finished the question. That brings us to the wedding planning. Or rather, the financial trap I almost walked into. Sarah is in marketing, obsessed with image and status. She wanted the Instagram wedding of the year. I agreed to a $50,000 budget, which I was funding, but she had a specific request regarding the logistics. "Let me put the deposits and big vendor payments on my credit cards," she insisted. "I want the travel points for our honeymoon. You can just wire me the cash to pay off the balance a few days before the wedding." It made sense. We were a team, right? So, she started swiping. The venue, the florist, the photographer, the custom dress. She put about $35,000 on her personal credit cards over the last 2 months. The plan was for me to transfer the funds to her account next Friday, just before the final vendor deadlines. But about 4 weeks ago, the atmosphere in the house shifted. Sarah started spending more time with her college friend, Vanessa. Vanessa is 35, twice divorced, and bitter. Her entire personality revolves around hating toxic men and drinking wine at noon. Suddenly, Sarah was coming home late. She stopped talking about the wedding. She stopped talking about the future. When I bring up kids, like pointing out a cute dad and son moment at the park, she wouldn't smile anymore. She'd roll her eyes and mutter things like, "Ugh," loud, or "God, look at that mom. She looks exhausted." I chalked it up to cold feet. I thought maybe she was just stressed about the planning. I tried to be supportive. I cooked dinner. I rubbed her feet. I told her it was all going to be worth it. I didn't realize that she wasn't stressed. She was just done pretending. It all came to a head last Tuesday. I had come home early to cook her favorite meal, trying to reconnect. She walked in, tossed her bag on the counter, and didn't even say hello. She just poured herself a massive glass of wine and sat at the island, staring at me with a look I'd never seen before. It wasn't love. It wasn't even annoyance. It was contempt. "We need to talk about the Caleb and Lily situation," she said, her voice flat. I smiled, turning down the heat on the stove. "What about them? You want to change the names?" "No," she said, taking a sip of wine. "I want to change the plan. I saw my OBGYN today." I froze. "Is everything okay? Are you sick?" She laughed, a cold, sharp sound. "No, I'm not sick. But I'm also not going to be an incubator. I picked up some paperwork for you. Consider it an early wedding gift." She slid a glossy pamphlet across the granite countertop. I picked it up. Vasectomy, a guide to recovery and care. Attached to it was a consultation appointment card. In my name. For next Thursday. I don't understand, I said, looking from the paper to her. It's simple, she said, checking her nails. I'm not ruining my body for your ego. I'm not getting stretch marks. I'm not losing my career momentum. And I'm certainly not spending my 30s changing diapers. If you want to marry me, you're getting snipped. Next week. I stared at her. The woman who had cried about her ultimate purpose 3 years ago was gone. In her place was a stranger who thought she had me trapped. You're joking, I whispered. I'm deadly serious, she smirked. And don't look at me like that. The invitations are out. The venue is booked. You love me, and you're not going to blow up your life over a hypothetical child. So deal with it. She picked up her wine glass and walked into the living room, turning on the TV as if she hadn't just nuked our entire relationship. She thought she held all the cards. She thought I was too weak, too in love, and too financially committed to walk away. She forgot one thing. The checks to pay off her credit cards were still in my bank account. I looked at the ring on the counter where she'd left it while washing her hands. I looked at the pamphlet. And then, I looked at the calendar. Interesting, I said to the empty kitchen. I didn't sleep that night. I planned. I didn't argue with her that night. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. When I walked into the bedroom, she was already asleep, sprawled out in the center of the bed like she owned the place. I grabbed a pillow and a blanket and went to the guest room. The room she had promised would be a nursery. Lying there in the dark, I didn't feel heartbreak. Not yet. I just felt a cold, hard clarity. It was like looking at a building with a cracked foundation. You don't try to patch it with duct tape. You condemn it. The next morning, Wednesday, I was up at 5 a.m. I showered, dressed for work, and made coffee. When Sarah stumbled into the kitchen at 7:30, I was already sipping from my mug, scrolling through my phone. Did you call the clinic to confirm? She asked, not even looking at me. She went straight for the fridge. I'm handling it, I said. My voice was steady. Good, she replied, pouring almond milk into her smoothie. Vanessa and I are going for drinks after work to celebrate. I knew you'd come around. You're a smart guy. She walked over, pecked me on the cheek. It felt like being kissed by a lizard, and grabbed her keys. Don't wait up. As soon as the front door clicked shut, I moved. I didn't go to work. I called in and took a personal day. Then, I initiated Project Demolition. Step 1 was the extraction. I didn't want a long, drawn-out move. I called a moving company I've used for job sites. I need a truck and 2 guys immediately. Cash job. They were there in 45 minutes. I packed only what was mine. My clothes, my books, my electronics, my grandmother's antique clock. I left the furniture we bought together. I left the TV. I left the espresso machine she loved. I wanted no ambiguity. I wasn't stealing our stuff. I was removing myself from the equation. While the movers were loading the truck, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and opened the master spreadsheet for the wedding. This was the moment. The moment she thought would never happen. I drafted a single email. I put all the vendors in the to field. Then, I did something nuclear. I added our parents, the bridal party, and every single guest in the BCC field. Subject: important update regarding the wedding of my name and Sarah. Dear friends, family, and vendors, it is with heavy hearts that I must announce the wedding scheduled for next month is officially canceled. Sarah and I have discovered we have fundamentally incompatible visions for the future. Specifically, Sarah has informed me that she does not want children and requires me to undergo permanent sterilization as a condition of our marriage. Since having a family has always been my non-negotiable dream, we cannot move forward. To the vendors, please consider this formal notice of cancellation. I understand deposits are non-refundable. To our guests, I apologize for the inconvenience and the disruption to your travel plans. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, my name. I hovered over the send button. My hand trembled, just once. I thought about the 3 years. The lies. The Caleb and Lily conversations. The sheer disrespect of her tossing that pamphlet at me like I was an employee. I clicked send. Next, I logged into my bank app. I saw the scheduled transfer for $35,000 set to go out to Sarah's account on Friday. Cancel transfer. Are you sure? The app asked. Yes. The money remained in my savings account, safe and warm. By 2 p.m., the house was empty of my presence. The movers had already left for the storage unit. I did a final sweep. I took the engagement ring, a 1.5-carat solitaire I'd spent months saving for, off the dresser where she kept it. But then I stopped. If I took the ring, she'd say I stole it. She'd try to sue me for it. No, I needed a symbol. I placed the ring on the center of the kitchen island, right next to that damn vasectomy pamphlet. I grabbed a Sharpie and wrote on the back of the pamphlet, "Not ruining my life with your demands. The wedding is canceled. The transfer is canceled. You're on your own." My name. I walked out the door, locked it, and slid my key through the mail slot. I got into my truck and drove to a hotel 3 towns over. I turned my phone on, Do Not Disturb, but I kept the screen visible. At 5:15 p.m., the first text came through. It wasn't from Sarah. It was from her mom. "Mom, Sarah, what is going on? Is this a joke? Sarah is hysterical." Then, at 5:30 p.m., Sarah must have gotten home. My phone lit up. "Sarah, missed call. Sarah, missed call. Sarah, missed call." Then the text started rolling in. "Sarah, where are you? Sarah, why is the house empty? Sarah, you emailed everyone. Are you insane? Sarah, pick up the phone right now." I watched the notifications stack up like a high score in a video game. 10 calls, 20 calls, 30 calls. Then, the realization hit her. The money. "Sarah, wait." I checked my account. The transfer didn't go through. "You promised." "Sarah, I have $35,000 on my cards. The interest rates are insane. You can't do this. Sarah, this is financial abuse. I'm calling the police." I took a sip of the bourbon I'd poured myself. Financial abuse? No. Financial abuse is tricking someone into funding a life you never intended to live with them. This was just a return to sender. I didn't block her yet. I wanted to see the shift. I wanted to see the moment she realized that this safe, boring guy she thought she could bully had just demolished her world without raising his voice. At 8 p.m., the tone changed. "Sarah, baby, please. I'm sorry. I was just scared. I was stressed. We can talk about this. I didn't mean it about the surgery. Please come home. Sarah, I love you. Don't throw away 3 years over a fight. Sarah, Vanessa told me to be tough. It was her idea. She said if I was firm, you'd agree. I want kids. I do. Just come back." I laughed out loud in the empty hotel room, blaming Vanessa. Classic. I typed one response. I didn't send it to Sarah. I sent it to the group chat that included her parents, and my mom. "I am safe. The decision is final. Please do not contact me further. All communication goes through my lawyer from this point forward." Then, I blocked her number. I slept like a baby. The kind of baby she never wanted to have. The weeks following my departure were a masterclass in the difference between noise and signal. Sarah was noise. I was signal. For the first 3 days, the flying monkeys attacked. Sarah's bridesmaids, her aunt, and even that toxic friend Vanessa tried to blow up my phone. They left voicemails calling me a coward, a narcissist, and a man-child who couldn't handle an independent woman. I didn't engage. I didn't argue. I simply forwarded every voicemail and text to my lawyer. Yes, I hired a lawyer immediately. Not for a divorce, since we weren't married yet, but to protect my assets. I knew Sarah would come for the money. And she did. 2 weeks after I left, I received a demand letter from a strip mall attorney she'd hired. They were threatening to sue me for breach of promise and demanding I pay the $38,000 credit card debt she had accrued for the wedding, plus emotional distress. My lawyer, a shark named Harrison, actually laughed when he read it. She put the debt on her personal cards to get the points, Harrison explained to me, leaning back in his chair. Legally, those are her debts. Unless there is a written contract stating you agreed to assume that specific liability, she's out of luck. And since the wedding, the consideration for the contract didn't happen because she tried to alter the terms of the marriage with a surprise medical procedure. Yeah, she has no case. We sent a response letter that essentially said, "Go ahead and sue. We will countersue for the return of the engagement ring and legal fees, and we will depose Vanessa regarding the conspiracy to coerce a medical procedure." They went silent. The social fallout was just as brutal for her. Because I had sent that email, the one explicitly stating she demanded sterilization, she couldn't spin the narrative. She couldn't play the "he left me at the altar" victim card without someone asking, "Yeah, but didn't you try to force him to get a vasectomy?" The Instagram wedding she wanted became the town's biggest cautionary tale. I heard through mutual friends that the financial reality hit her like a freight train. The venue refused to refund the $15,000 deposit. The florist, the caterer, the dressmaker, they all kept their cuts. Sarah was left with nearly $40,000 in high-interest debt and an entry-level marketing salary that couldn't cover the minimum payments. She lost the apartment within 2 months. I heard she had to move back in with her parents in the suburbs, the same parents she used to brag about outgrowing. As for me, I didn't celebrate her downfall. I didn't post about it. I just erased her. I sold the house we had lived in. Too many memories of her fake nursery planning. I took the profit, combined it with the money I didn't spend on her debt, and bought a fixer-upper on the other side of the city. I spent a year working on that house. I tore down walls. I built a deck. I healed. I started dating again. But this time, I listened to actions, not words. I met Emily about 14 months after the breakup. She was a pediatric nurse. On our second date, she told me, "My life is chaotic, I work long hours, and I want 4 kids and a golden retriever. If that scares you, run now." I didn't run. I proposed a year later. It had been almost 3 years since I walked out of that kitchen. I was at a high-end furniture store on a Saturday afternoon. Emily and I were looking for a crib. Not a theoretical crib for a future room. A real crib. Emily was 7 months pregnant with our son. I was testing the railing of a solid oak model when I heard a voice that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Not out of fear, but out of sheer, uncomfortable recognition. "So, you actually did it." I turned around. Standing in the aisle, clutching a throw pillow like a shield, was Sarah. She looked tired. That's the only word for it. The glossy, high-maintenance sheen she used to have was gone. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. Her roots were showing, and she was wearing a generic tracksuit. She looked 10 years older than the woman I had left. "Hello, Sarah," I said. My voice was calm. My pulse didn't even jump. She looked at me, then her eyes drifted to Emily, who was a few feet away looking at changing tables. Emily turned, her baby bump impossible to miss in her floral sundress. She smiled at Sarah, not knowing who she was, and gave a polite wave. Sarah's face twisted. It was a mix of jealousy and devastation. "You replaced me," she spat, her voice trembling. "You really just wanted a broodmare, didn't you? Someone to just give you what you wanted." I stepped between her and Emily, blocking her view. "I wanted a partner, Sarah. Someone honest. I'm still paying for it, you know," she hissed, tears welling up in her eyes. "That debt ruined my credit. I can't even get a car loan. I'm living in my childhood bedroom because of you. You destroyed my life over a hypothetical kid." She was still doing it. Still framing herself as the victim. Still refusing to see that the grenade that blew up her life was the one she pulled the pin on. "I didn't destroy your life," I said, my voice low and steady. "I just refused to let you destroy mine." "We could have worked it out," she raised her voice, causing a few shoppers to look over. "I would have given you a kid if I knew you were actually going to leave. I loved you." "No," I corrected her. "You loved the lifestyle I provided. And you didn't want a kid, Sarah. You made that very clear. You shouldn't have to compromise on your body, and I shouldn't have to compromise on my family. We both got what we wanted." "I have nothing," she snapped. I looked at her one last time. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel the need for revenge. I just felt relief. Relief that I wasn't the one paying off those credit cards. Relief that I wasn't the one waking up next to her bitterness every day. "You have your freedom," I said. "No kids to ruin your body. No husband to hold you back. You won, Sarah. Enjoy it." I turned my back on her. "Babe," Emily called out, holding up a soft blue blanket. "Do you like this one?" I walked over to my wife, put my hand on the small of her back, and kissed her forehead. "I love it," I said. "Let's get it." We walked to the register. I didn't look back to see if Sarah was still standing there. I didn't care. She was just a ghost from a life I almost settled for, fading away in the rearview mirror of the life I built. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.